Before you move to Milton, Georgia, there are a few things you should know about. Milton is a great city and it's growing every year, but there's one thing specifically that I think makes Milton a bit overpriced. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor. I'm a local real estate agent here in Georgia, and I put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Milton and in Atlanta and the suburbs of Atlanta. If you're thinking about moving to any one of these parts of Metro Atlanta, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. Right now, let's talk about what it's like to live in Milton and something that you really need to watch out for before you move here. Milton is part of Fulton County, which is also the county that Atlanta is in. This is kind of surprising because Atlanta is the big city and Milton is much more rural. So it's kind of funny to see that both of these cities are in the same county. Milton is in the farthest northern point of Fulton County, so it's quite a ways from the city of Atlanta. Most people who live in Milton don't regularly travel to Atlanta for work or anything like that. Also, Milton is just north of Alpharetta, so very often people who have lived in Alpharetta for a long time, who are trying to get away from what they perceive as the crowd, they move to Milton because Milton is a bit quieter than Alpharetta. So Milton is very much the kind of area where people retire to when they live in Alpharetta initially. In general, Milton does kind of feel like a suburb. There are a lot of neighborhoods around here. There are some shopping centers here and there, but really the biggest shopping area, or like the most popular shopping area, is kind of on the most southern part of Milton near Crabapple Road. But when it comes to suburban areas, Milton is certainly one of the more quieter suburban areas. There are neighborhoods, but the houses are not on top of each other. They're not very close to each other. And so you're going to get a lot more land for your money in Milton. There are a lot of farms in Milton. There are a lot of horse pastures, equestrian centers, lots of rolling green hills in Milton, which is one of the things that makes it so appealing. And so there are certainly some things about Milton that you can only find here in Milton. And to add to that, it's also in Fulton County, so it really is the best of both worlds when it comes to finding a suburban area that is in Fulton County, but not like Atlanta. There isn't a whole lot of things to do in Milton. It's not really like the place where you go to find a lot of activities. For the most part, people who live in Milton, when they're looking for something to do, like go to a restaurant in the evening or go shopping, they usually go to Alpharetta to find all of those things. The drive from the middle of Milton to Alpharetta is probably something like 15 minutes, depending on where you are. But it's not a very far drive, and so people who live in Milton are happy to make that drive 15 minutes if it means being able to get away from the crowd when they go back home. And so while Milton is super popular and there are a lot of great things about living here, there's one thing about Milton that most people don't talk about, and it's especially important if you're not from the Atlanta area. Like, it's in the back of many people's minds here, but if you're not from Metro Atlanta, to see those areas, it's not something that you would naturally think of. So let's talk about one of the most important factors that I think makes Milton so unique and something that you need to watch out for if you plan on moving here. In the last 60 days, the average sold price for a home in Milton is $945,000, and the average price per square foot for a home in Milton is $240. One of the reasons why homes in Milton cost so much money is because of the amount of land associated with each one of these homes. Again, because it's in kind of that rural area, it's common to get a home in Milton with at least an acre. This is not so common in Alpharetta or Marietta or Suwanee. It's much more difficult in those areas to find an acre of land. It's possible, but it's not as common. So to be able to find an area like Milton that has the amazing feel of Milton and the beauty of Milton and also have that much land, that's one of the reasons why homes there cost so much money. But what most people that are not from here don't realize is that you can find that much land and that kind of home in other parts of Metro Atlanta, where the average home price is not $945,000. For example, Canton, which is in Cherokee County, it's just north of Cobb County, north of Atlanta, a little bit west of Milton. In Canton, you can find a lot of these same things that you can find in Milton, but the home prices are not as much. The average home value in Canton in the last 90 days is $525,000, so far less than the $945,000 that you would find in Milton. Canton is very similar to Milton. It has that kind of similar rural country feel. The neighborhoods are kind of spread out and the homes are kind of spread out. The houses are not on top of each other, so it has a very similar feel to Milton. Also, the price per square foot for a home in Canton is only $224, so far less than Milton, which means you can get a much bigger home for your money in Canton than you can in Milton. Another good alternative is Woodstock. Woodstock is also in Cherokee County. It's actually just south of Canton, and the average price for a home there is also far less than in Milton. In the last 90 days in Woodstock, the average price for a home is $435,000, and the price per square foot is $205,000. So again, far less than Milton, similar vibe in Woodstock and in Canton than you would find in Milton. In fact, all of these areas are very close to each other. If you look at a map, right in between Interstate 75 and 400, right around these cities, Woodstock, Canton, Milton, you would see that all of these are kind of adjacent to each other. And this little section of Metro Atlanta has lots of neighborhoods. It's almost 90% residential, and for the most part, it all kind of feels the same. This little middle area between those main interstates all have that kind of country feel. They all have those rolling green hills. They all have the homes with large lots. But Canton and Woodstock have far less home prices than Milton. Now, you can only find the equestrian centers in Milton. You can only be 15 minutes from Alpharetta if you're in Milton. The schools in Milton are a little bit better than Canton and Woodstock, so I can see why a lot of people want to move to Milton. But if you're just looking for that country feel and being able to find a lot of home for your money, Milton is not necessarily the best place for that. Another city that's right in that same little area is Holly Springs. Holly Springs is kind of in between Canton and Woodstock. A lot of people move to Woodstock because of the downtown area. Being able to be so close to the downtown part of Woodstock, but still being able to get away from those crowds is a huge draw for many people. You can kind of have that country living or that rural living, but if you want to find a place to go out to eat or a place for shopping, it's a quick drive to downtown Woodstock. Downtown Woodstock is a super popular part of the city. For the most part, one main road with a lot of different shopping and restaurants right there. And it's certainly one of the highlights of living in Woodstock, Georgia. But again, there are some things that you just can't find in any other city than in Milton. And there are a lot of people who are moving to Milton every year. It's certainly becoming more and more popular. If you want to know more about what it's like to live in Milton, Georgia, check out this video. I'll see you there.